Hello and hello, hello and
Wow.
hello. Where did that come
That
from?
was a lot of hellos.
Hello. Welcome to the Sanibel Captiva Guide podcast. Please welcome our guest here, Eric Pfeifer. He's been a realtor on the island since 2001 and well-respected realtor, I should say. He has 12 realtors under his in your
Umbrella,
brokerage,
I guess.
under your umbrella. And we've actually brought him today because we're going to be doing a podcast about moving to Florida. This is going to be about about this particular area, but more particularly, most of what we're going to be talking about is going to equate to most of Florida. So, if you're thinking of moving to Florida, then I think you'll find some useful information. The other thing about this is Eric is a structural engineer by trade. When he graduated as a structural engineer, he has his contractor's license, so he brings far more to the table than just your average realtor. He actually, there's a lot of advice Eric can give that a lot of other people couldn't give. So,
and Nick, even with those two licenses, my wife tells me I still can't hang a picture straight in her
oh, there you go. Isn't that the truth?
Nick should come over. He is actually really good at hanging pictures.
I'm not too good at the certificates, though. So
Right, that's true.
would make a great team.
Exactly. You guys, yeah.
Anyway, so I wanted to start. Thanks for joining us. Anyway, but
I have a burning question. Did you walk or drive here?
I walked.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was going to say, you're pretty close,
offices
aren't
are
you?
About 300 feet away.
Wow.
yeah, 300 feet. His office is right across the street next to Jerry's. You've probably seen it. It's a cute blue and light pale green. What would you
I
describe
think
the
lime
colours?
green, do you think?
Yeah,
Citrus green.
Yeah, lime green, light royal.
Yeah.
And you'll always notice stuff outside the front whenever there's the painted manatees, the Christmas.
The
He has
elves.
big-
The
he
Christmas
does the
elves.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Are
there's-
you getting the Christmas? Are the Christmas elves getting ready for?
They're always ready to
Gotcha.
go. Thanks to my wife, Mary Ellen.
Good.
Even in August, they're ready to go.
Right.
Okay.
They periodically come out during football season as well.
Oh, they
Oh,
do.
really? What,
Okay.
dressed
So we
in
put a
the
jersey
appropriate
up
team?
from our
Oh, that's
favorite
true.
team.
I
And
haven't
what would the
seen
team be?
Well, recently he's been Clemson because our son graduated from Clemson.
Right.
One of the elves was actually stolen one time.
No.
Really?
We were out of town in Hawaii. The Sanibel police called us, and they said one of your elves was stolen. And I just assumed it was one of our friends
Right.
playing
Messing
a
around.
prank.
Yeah.
Turns out one of the elves was stolen because it had a Clemson jersey. They found it on Captiva in a house with some vacationers. And
No
the policeman
way.
said, "Do you want to press charges?" And I said, "Only if it's an Ohio State fan."
Right. That is
So they
awesome.
just returned the elf.
Oh,
They returned the
that
elf,
is
okay.
really
Some
funny.
drunken hijinks, no doubt.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. I wanted to talk about some of the differences of some things that may be fairly obvious to people that live here, that have always lived here, but I think we all have the unique situation that we're not from here originally.
I'm not going to tell you I'm from Ohio, Eric.
Oh, okay. Hopefully not a Buckeyes fan.
Well, maybe. Sorry.
So basically, let's start off. Tell me the main differences about structures compared with, your northern states compared to Florida. Is there much difference as far as the actual building goes? When you're looking for a building, what are going to be the differences that you see?
Sure. Well, we have a pretty rigorous Florida building code here, so that sets our state apart from other states. And then we have the wind component. We don't use the H word, especially this time of year.
No, we are not
Hurricane.
using
But
the
sometimes
hurricane
we
word.
have
Right.
wind events, so houses have to be designed with that in mind, whether it's a roof, window, the siding, we have to factor that in. So
Yeah.
that's probably one of the biggest differences. And then also flooding. Obviously we're at a very low elevation. We happen to
What
be
are we about on Sanibel?
Sanibel, the streets are about 5 feet above sea level.
Wow, we're low.
And then in 1979, FEMA came out with the flood maps for this area. They were different years for different areas.
Right.
After which we had to build the base floor up above the base flood elevation. So that's a big difference. And it varies from location. So
Yeah.
on a barrier island such as Sanibel, the base flood elevation could be as high as 11, 12, 13 feet above sea level.
Right.
Which means most of the homes are built on stilts.
Correct.
the newer homes, I
Yeah.
guess you would
Silt
say.
homes, wood piling homes. They could be built on concrete piles or concrete block.
But-
But the first floor needs to be up out of the floodplain.
Just a quick message before we get back to the show. We put a ton of effort into bringing you quality content, so if you would like to help us share our love of the islands, here are several easy ways. Firstly, you can support us on Patreon. You could purchase an island souvenir from our Etsy store. You can metaphorically buy us a coffee, which is an easy way to donate a couple of bucks.
Don't you prefer tea?
Well, I do, kind of. Also, like and subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with all things Sanibel and Captiva. And finally, show some love to our sponsors. Let them know we sent you. All the links are in the description below. Now, back to the episode. So
Right.
typically Florida homes don't have basement just because of the substructure, and we're typically on a swampy environment, sandy or what have you. So most homes don't have a basement, but
I don't know.
they do
Any
have.
that do? Do you,
I don't know
have
if
you
there
ever,
are, actually,
Have
but
you
they-
ever gone
Well,
into a home with
if
a
you built
basement?
a basement in your home, you'd have
You
a
have a
swimming
swimming
pool.
pool.
Yes.
Exactly.
But we do have these raised, elevated areas that where to get above the flood zone that people do use kind of as joint
As a-
purpose garages or as
Sure.
Yeah.
or as storage or maybe a game room or something.
Right.
Passive storage, garage, all of that can be on the ground level.
Right.
Now, homes built before 1979, they're ground level homes. Very popular because there are no stairs. And you can walk right out from your living room into your pool
In
area.
your pool, right?
So they obviously are non-conforming to the flood maps.
Right.
So we call them non-conforming homes, and they pay higher flood insurance.
Right.
That would
For
be
that
us,
reason.
Laurie.
That would be us. Yes.
And we've actually got a foot on Sanibel because our flood elevation is 7 feet.
7. Yeah.
Oh,
two or three.
6 or 7. Yeah,
I think we're
yeah.
7. Yeah.
But so we're not going to have. You're not going to have so many. Well, any basements. I'm gonna, I'm being vague because I don't know of any basements, but probably no basements. I would say.
no basement. Yeah. And your garage definitely becomes a basement. I think we've parked our car in the garage once, and only because we cleaned it all out. My mom pulled the car and took a picture of our car in the garage, and then we pulled it back out and then promptly filled it back up again.
And then construction-wise, not much brickwork down here. Not much.
Not a whole lot of bricks. Some people throw a few bricks in just for
Aesthetics, I
Aesthetics.
guess. Yeah.
But there's
but not a lot of brick.
There's no clay down here, so you obviously
Right.
can't make brick. So
Right.
it's
So
expensive.
mostly
expensive
concrete
material.
block, masonry block.
Masonry block or woodwork or carpentry.
Do you have is there a preference over CBS, which is concrete block, or a timber frame?
I think if cost wasn't an issue, everybody would build with concrete. Some of the more recent homes here on Sanibel have been all concrete from the slab all the way up to a second or third story.
Yeah.
Super expensive to build that way, but some people are
bulletproof.
willing to pay for it. So
Yeah.
if there's ever a wind event, again,
Right. I love that.
that's the place to be.
Right.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
most of
makes
the
sense.
homes built in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, they're wood piling, wood frame homes, and they will
They're still
they will
standing.
last longer than the three of us here.
Right.
The concrete will just last longer.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said. A lot of the timbers that they use down here, because of we're in the tropics, we can have issues with termites. They're all pressure treated to stop that happening as well,
Yeah.
which eliminates that problem to a bigger degree. So the flood issue, how far back inland is that an issue? I mean, it sort of stops out by 41, is it? US 41 or?
It's a complicated question, a complicated answer. They're flood maps, so FEMA comes out with these maps and they change them periodically.
So where would somebody look if they were looking online for a particular place? Where would they? Is there somewhere online where you could find that information? Or
I believe on the county website, Lee County website, you could find the flood maps. Sanibel's website also has the flood map locations.
And that's mysanibel.com,
Correct.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the City of Sanibel website.
Right.
right,
But the best way to get that answer is to call an insurance agent
right,
and give them
that's
the
all you-
address, and then
exactly.
they can overlay all the flood maps on the street maps.
Yeah.
Right. So there are a few different mitigating factors when thinking about moving to Florida. So you've got flood, you've got the H word, wind events. You've got a few different things, and so that directly affects. There's certain things that directly affect the value of properties. And I'm being very general here, but if we would take a section of the middle of Florida, now this isn't always the case because up near Orlando it's a little bit different, but the inland areas are probably your more economic purchases of property, wouldn't you agree?
I would say in general, yes, that's
And
true.
then the closer you get to the water,
The
the more
more-
that property prices increase.
Right, and maybe a stricter building code closer to the water, and then higher insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then insurance, you have flood insurance, wind insurance, homeowners insurance.
Yeah, so it kind of adds up.
So that was going to be my next point. So obviously, the closer you get to the water, it's a little bit more expensive. On the water is a premium. Then island living is a premium, and then island living on the water probably doesn't get much more. It's probably the pinnacle of cost-wise.
Right.
But I wanted to particularly help the people that are moving down. What are additional costs? Obviously, we've mentioned some already, but what are additional costs that you would incur if you were moving from Florida from, say, Michigan or somewhere like that? We talked about the H word, the wind insurance, and you've got to have, what else is there? What sort of
Well, let's
costs?
start with the building cost. Everything's going through the roof right now as far as materials, but in Florida, it just seems to be even more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I hear from my customers moving from other states.
Yeah.
So more expensive to build here. Just to get a nice wood piling, wood frame home, contractors are charging probably around $500 a square foot.
Really?
And what
That's a
was
big
that
number.
Years ago, what was that number?
So we moved here in 2001, and I want to say it was around maybe $150 a square foot.
So that is.
So
but
materials have gone up, labor's gone up.
But it's not stopped people from coming, correct?
Not whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are coming in droves, aren't they?
For lots of different reasons, weather, people are retiring, they like the 12-month outdoor lifestyle.
Yeah.
But everything's more expensive. So from building to insurance, those are obviously the biggest cost increases.
Right.
Here.
Which there has been a big upset in insurance, I think, recently, too.
We as homeowners can get really upset with our insurance bill going up year after year after year. I have been told that 7% of the premiums paid into insurance companies across the nation come from Florida, but approximately 75% of the claims to the insurance companies come out of Florida.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's why our costs are going way up.
Yeah.
I've also heard that they've become much better at targeting where their claims are coming from, like pinpointing, so they can actually, instead of being statewide, now it can actually be area and county wide, where they can say this county is particularly claiming more. We're going to put these premiums up in this particular area, in a very small pinpointed area. So that works for the insurance companies, but not so much for us if you're living by the water.
Right.
But you've got, other costs incurs, obviously there are some savings to be had. We don't have the Florida state tax.
That is obviously a big draw to get people down here, whether they're still working and they want their paycheck to come out of Florida, or they're retired on fixed income and they have assets with taxes. It's just a lot better not to have the state income tax. So that's a huge draw here.
And you do save a lot of money on heating bills, but I will say that there is an offside to that you spend a huge amount of money on
air conditioning. Right. I think
no snow plowing.
No snow plowing.
no.
That's a good thing.
No snow shovels, none of that.
No snow tires.
No snow tires. That's
No
true.
skidoos. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. And the one downfall of your heating, when you turn it on, it smells so bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it doesn't get used for
It never gets used, and it's covered in dust or something. I don't know, whatever that smell is. Everybody knows it.
I usually only experience the heat during a home inspection.
When they turn it on?
Yeah, when they turn it on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be awful. So what sort of things, so when you're looking, what do you see as the biggest? You have many, many clients that move down here. You've helped, I'm sure, hundreds over the years move.
Do you have it listed? Do you know how many homes?
I don't know that number.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's
your wife
hundreds.
does.
I'm sure
We're
it's
gonna have
hundreds.
to ask Mary Ellen.
But what are the biggest surprises that you try to let your customers know before they come? What how can you mitigate the impact of any unforeseen things that they wouldn't know about? What are the biggest surprises people will have when they move down?
I would say the biggest thing that's new for people is they're coming from a $4,000 or $5,000 square foot house up north because they're spending so much.
5,000 square
I'm sorry,
foot.
4,000 or 5,000 square foot.
Right, okay.
House.
Home.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. Up north, and then they're looking for that same size home down here.
Right.
And they don't understand they're going to be spending most of their time outdoors.
Yeah.
12
Right.
months on the golf course, on the boat,
Yeah,
on
and
the
your
bicycle
pool.
path,
Yeah.
by the pool. And so they can get by with a much smaller home.
Right.
Now, I always say the most used room in the property is probably the screen porch out back.
That's true.
Right.
You sit up there in the morning with your coffee, maybe a cold beverage in the afternoon.
Right.
So you don't need the 4,000 or 5,000 square feet.
Right. And then you get less visitors too, right?
Right.
Keeps the visitors down.
Right. Which everybody wants to come visit you.
I have 3 brothers, and our first year, my wife, who's an only child, said we had visitors 77 days the first year. So
No way.
Wow.
she was counting that.
Well, and now it's not just, it's gone way further than that, because now your brother is now part of Eric Pfeifer Realty.
Right. My brother, Mark Pfeifer, previously a realtor, but mostly a computer consultant. He just joined our company.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's running in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so size, any other things? I mean, like, so there's a bit of a sticker shock, I imagine, like if you're looking for this huge home and you know, you've got to set your expectations a little bit realistically. And then there is that, what do you say about picking something that's fully up to code compared with the older places that maybe not are grandfathered in and are not up to code? Is there any concerns there?
Well, that's up to the individual. I thought when the new insurance premiums came out for the ground level homes for flood insurance that we may never sell a ground level home again. And to the contrary,
Right.
everybody wants a ground level home. In the winter months, so say November through the end of March or even April, we leave the doors and windows open, and you walk right out from your kitchen to your swimming pool.
Right.
Right, and it is kind of weird when you see these homes that have the pool downstairs and the front room upstairs,
I just
because you
don't
don't
think-
get that aesthetic, do you?
You
You
don't.
don't get that. You're not looking out to the pool. You're actually going out to a balcony and looking down on the pool.
Right.
Not that it's a bad thing, but it's just different.
It's
Not
different.
a bad thing, but families with little kids, they like to watch their kids right
Yeah.
there.
Or just
Yeah.
taking beverages out and things like that instead of walking down the stairs. It's definitely a plus, I think.
And then obviously schools are a big thing.
Well, one more thing just on that, swimming
Yeah.
pools. You know, everybody thinks they have to have a swimming pool when they move to
Right.
Florida.
Oh,
and
yeah.
certainly we use our pool a lot. But that's a big change, you know, taking care of a pool. And
And we didn't have a pool for quite a while, and then we ended up getting a pool, and we decided that we weren't sure if our kids would use it, and to be honest, they didn't. Like they used it when we first had it.
Right.
But
no
with-
sharks and minnows.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
yeah.
Oh, the game. Marco Polo.
Marco
maybe?
Polo. Yeah.
Whoever invented that game needs
Right.
to be taken
Yes,
out back.
Exactly.
I agree.
But having said all that, it does cost extra money to run a pool. I would never be in Florida without a pool, and I've probably been in mine twice this year. I just love the sound and the aesthetic of having a pool there, and it is nice if you want to use it. So I don't think it's ever wasted, you know, to get a pool.
Would you say adding a pool, does that obviously adds value, but do you get the money back? I know
It 100% adds value. Not everybody has to have a pool, but you need the ability to construct a pool later for resale. So I would say you definitely get 100% of your money back out of
Really?
it.
Really? So you're looking for that when you're showing a client at home? You're looking to see if there is a room for a pool, if there isn't one?
Always. I mean, selling a home includes a lot of due diligence, not just the home inspection, termite inspection, but meeting with the city planners to find out if there's room left. On Sanibel, for example, you can only develop up to 35% of your property with an impervious surface, and in some cases 30%, in some cases 25%.
Explain that impervious surface.
Sure. So when you have, let's just say you have a rectangular lot, 100 by 100 or 10,000 square feet. Because we're on an island, we want the rainwater and the storm water to run off percolate back into the ground.
Gotcha.
So we don't want 10,000 square feet of concrete.
Right. We don't want to pave paradise.
We don't want to, pave paradise here. So Sanibel has very strict limitations, and they check that, and they also check another number called developed area. So that's everything that's impervious, meaning concrete for your pool and your house, but anything else such as gravel, pervious pavers, crushed shell. You have to check these two calculations, and for good reason.
Yeah.
We don't want concrete everywhere aesthetically, and we also don't want our neighbor with concrete and all their rainwater coming over and flooding our property.
And the island infrastructure needs water to be absorbed and not just
Right.
shed, does it
Right.
not? You know?
Absolutely. And then we get our water, our drinking water from the Island Water Association.
Yeah.
They have 15 wells on the island. They're pulling the water from 600 to 800 feet out of the
Oh, I
ground.
didn't know that was
Yeah.
coming from wells. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it
They
must
have
be, yeah.
15 wells, and then they have one deep injection well to return the brine, I guess you call that,
Brackish water?
the waste
Yeah. Oh,
back into
gotcha.
the ground.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
know
we
that.
used to get it from Pine Island. Back in the day, they used to be cisterns where people would gather the rainwater off their roofs into big cisterns. And then they got it from Pine Island. There's a pipe that came, and then the Florida Island Water Association developed their own wells and things.
And it's all a reverse osmosis plant. So it's pretty cool. If you've never been up to IWA, Island Water Association, it's a good day trip to see.
You can actually go in there?
You can go in there and see all the inner workings.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Yeah, it's right on the Sandcup Road on your left-hand side.
Just before
we're going.
Nature Center. Yeah. Very cool.
Is there a different taste, do you think, in that? You've gotten used to it, I'm sure.
I've gotten used to it. If I wake up in the middle of the night and want to drink a glass of water, I drink it right out of the tap. No issues. But if we have you over for dinner, I'm probably not serving water right out of the tap.
From the IWA.
Right.
Yeah, that's the same as we are, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there having a nice, refreshing glass of water, you're going to go for filtered.
Yeah.
I have a question, Eric.
Yes, sir.
What are your favorite spots for real estate on the island, neighborhoods?
That's tough to say, Max.
That's like
it's a very broad question. Yeah.
That's like you can't pick, can you?
I can answer it from a customer's perspective. Why do you look on the east end, or why do you look up past the school on the west end?
Yeah.
And it turns out people have vacationed here for years and years before they make the decision to move here.
Yeah.
And maybe they like going to Bowman's Beach to find the shells or to watch a sunset.
Yeah.
They typically want to be up towards that end of the island.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
My wife had been coming here since 1968 with her parents. They always vacation down by the lighthouse. And guess what? That's where we live.
That's where you live.
Yeah.
So a lot of emotional thought process goes into it.
Totally emotional based on your past history, maybe visiting friends or coming with your family.
Because there's other things to think of that if you were to buy a house, I'd definitely ask someone like Eric or an expert in the field, because, the other end by Bowman's in season could be quite challenging. If you're an active person and like to get on and off the island, that could be something you might want to think about, which, when you're on vacation is not an issue. But
I think we get a bad rap for our traffic. And then if, for those of us who live here, we kind of just go the back way and it doesn't really affect our lifestyle.
Don't tell them about
I mean, they go on Periwinkle, straight down Periwinkle.
just join Periwinkle and sit there for 2.5 hours. It's perfect.
And look at the wildlife, enjoy the tropical foliage. You will love it. Or stop in one of the restaurants. That's what you need to do. Eat and then take your time.
Traffic really isn't that horrible unless you leave your house at 5. If you lived here,
5 p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m. or 8:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
And let's be realistic, it's a short period of time. It's 3 months of the year, probably.
And in the big picture of life, if that's your biggest problem, then we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously. And it has gotten so much better since they got rid of the drawbridge.
Yeah. So you sell real estate in Fort Myers too, Eric, yeah?
Sure. Our office covers all of we cover Sanibel, Captiva, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Bonita, Estero. I would like to say we cover Naples because that's a great place to live and sell real estate, but geographically that is a little tough to get to each day.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have agents that cover those areas predominantly?
Sure. Half of our team lives off island.
Okay.
And then they're willing to travel to help any family.
So do you get people that have targeted Sanibel or Captiva as a place to live that then end up in Fort Myers or one of the other markets like Cape Coral or...
We do cross over a little bit. People who come to Sanibel to look at houses on Sanibel or condominiums, they're pretty much set they want to be here because they vacationed here. Mm-hmm. People coming for the first time, they come out here and see what they can get for a certain price point, and then we take them across.
They run across
the pond,
yes.
Nick, and and you get some newer construction, so you get more bang for your buck there. You have to drive a little bit farther to the beach, but not a huge deal to some people.
Right.
And there are lots of great golf courses, 3 on Sanibel, but dozens and dozens in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that. We just did a blog post about the golf course on Sanibel.
Yes.
And a podcast.
And a podcast. And Max and I had to do some research and played at South Seas Island Resort.
Oh, that's horrible. How did you get through it?
Yeah, it's terrible.
We
played it twice because we weren't sure about the layout the first time round, so we went round again. But
Nick, have you beaten Max yet?
have I beaten Max? Come on.
I haven't beaten him yet, embarrassingly.
So I want to go back. How did you end up? You mentioned your wife has been coming here since she was a child. So did she drag you here, kicking and screaming?
Totally her fault.
Gotcha.
So we met after college in Orlando.
You went to school in Florida? Where'd you go?
I went to Vanderbilt in Nashville. She went to UCF. So
Okay.
she's actually a
In
native
Orlando.
Floridian, one of the few.
I didn't know that.
Born in
From
Miami,
Orlando?
raised in Orlando.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
No, I didn't know that.
So she was working in Orlando. I took a job in Orlando, and we started dating. She said, "I'd like to show you my happy place." So
Disney?
No, Epcot. So no, her happy place
Was
is Sanibel.
Sanibel.
Yeah. So we drove down here for a weekend, and I was sold. So I
Really?
loved it. We didn't move at that time, but we would continue to vacation. We got married, had children. We'd bring the children down here.
Right.
At that time, we were living in Baltimore, where I'm from.
Okay. I was going to ask you where you're from.
And some people say Baltimore,
Right.
or Baltimorean, which I am, but
Right.
Baltimore. And then we would still vacation here.
Really?
And one day our kids were 2 and 4. We both had careers, and we packed up and moved to Sanibel.
Really?
Wow.
And what
And-
year was that?
2001.
Okay. 'Cause
And
we-
our friends back home said, "You are possibly the 2 dumbest individuals on the planet, giving up jobs with 2 little kids."
Right. But actually, the perfect time to move, I think, when your kids are. We moved here when Max was 6 months old.
So a
in
couple of years
99.
before you,
Yeah, we moved here
99,
in
yeah.
99. But it's a good time to move when your
Yeah.
kids are young before
Yeah.
they've started.
And a good
In
time
the
to get
schools.
in on the real estate, too.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for people Max's age now, they're trying to get into starter homes, and it's becoming tough. I think even rental properties are definitely gone up.
Even finding a rental's tough. And then the
Yeah.
starter home in Fort Myers, for example. I know this because we're looking with our son.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe 3 years ago, $250,000 would have gotten you a very, very nice home in Fort
Right.
Myers, and now that same home is $450,000 or $500,000.
right,
Yeah.
incredible,
Crazy.
And we were actually out in North Fort Myers. Should we say why?
Why were we there? Oh,
We got some
I
friends
forgot.
who have a restaurant, and it's they're from Laos, and they have a temple out in North Fort Myers, and they invited us. So we went to the temple, the Buddhist temple,
Mm-hmm.
and North Fort Myers has always been the rural sibling to Fort Myers. It's always been, north, obviously, a lot more rural. Property value is probably a fair bit less, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah. Until
That's not the
recently.
case. So we were in the middle of nowhere, and I pulled up Zillow, and I was just like, I wonder what a property like here costs. And I was gobsmacked. What used to be, I would think, 100, 200,000 is now,
Yeah.
like you said,
Right.
600,000.
But I guess you're getting a lot of land.
Well,
with
maybe
that
an
house.
acre or two. It wasn't like it was multiple acres. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so it's definitely worth knowing your areas and where.
Yeah. Which,
Well, I think Fort Myers is now connected to North Fort Myers, which is now connected to Cape Coral.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's just massive.
Yeah. Oh, it's a vast area.
That's true.
And Cape Coral is a whole nother area.
East, I would say.
It's just, whole nother beast. How many thousands of miles of
I know that
canals
was one
are
of our
there?
trivia questions, Max. What was it? Do you remember how many?
How many
miles?
canals there are? I don't know. More than Venice.
Right, I think
Is
it was
that
like
right?
400.
Yeah, more than
Wow.
Was it
Venice.
like 400 miles of canals?
insane.
That seems
amount.
low, even.
Yeah, it's an insane amount. So if you're looking for somewhere on the water
That might be an option if the prices out here are a little
Sure.
above your price range to.
And
look
there are a
at
lot
Cape
of great
Coral.
restaurants and bars in Cape Coral.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're both avid boating families, and we go to them as you do, I think, don't you?
Go to the bars by
Yeah,
boats.
yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
Go out
It's a
for
nice
lunch or to
restaurant.
get a drink.
Yeah. Nice restaurant.
Southwest Florida, I was told by one of my customers from Cincinnati who had boated his whole life, and I guess he boated on the river. And he said, you have no idea how good boating is in Southwest Florida. You have so many options. You can go south to Naples,
Yeah.
Fort Myers Beach, north,
Up to the Berry Islands, Yucatan,
all the way up to Punta Gorda.
Right.
I would venture to say it's way better than the East Coast. I might be slightly biased, but we do have protected water boating, We've got the back bay when it's blowing, it's there's tons of restaurants, it's not as packed as the East Coast.
There's definitely a lot more days where you can go out, whereas the waves out on the East Coast are a lot bigger. Because we're in the Gulf, we're a lot more protected.
I mean, they do have their intercoastal as well, but I
Yeah.
think it's a lot more slow zone than this side, isn't it?
And we don't get a lot of deep water until you go far offshore.
Which
Right.
keeps
So that
the
keeps it a
weather
lot more
down.
manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's just
Great
a
time.
great place to come,
yes, it
I
is.
think.
Yes. What any other advice you'd give for people that are thinking of moving down or just changing areas? Anything that you in your 25 years or 22 years of experience? Any advice you could give to somebody looking to move to the area?
Well, first of all, contact a realtor.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn just on Sanibel, learning about building, planning, what you can and you can't do. It's the same throughout all of Florida. So when you look online, there's hundreds of different portals where you can see listings for sale.
Yeah.
But they don't give you the whole picture.
I think it just makes your head spin in the end when you start looking, trying to find a place online. It's
Right.
so
So
much
don't
easier.
just take the prettiest picture at the best price. You really have to immerse yourself in the community. And what does the community have to offer you? And what do you want to do as far as activities here?
Yeah.
Do you want to play golf all the time or go out on the boat? Do you like to exercise? Do you want a recreation center?
Yeah.
So you really need to speak to a realtor and have that person educate you on the community.
Right.
Yeah, and I think even as far as HOA fees, which are a lot more prevalent down here than they would be up north, if you want your lawn maintenance taken care of and your pool taken care of, there are developments where they do all that for you. Some
Sure.
people would see it as a hindrance. Some people would see it as a plus. You know?
Yeah.
And some are bundled communities with golf included.
Right.
And you might not pick up on that in the listing online.
And let's be
that's right.
honest, some of them are bundled communities and all the rest of it, but they're horrendously expensive. Some are very reasonable, you know?
Yeah.
I would like to make a note about condo fees, though, because we often get the question, or the statement, I'll never buy a condo because the fees are so high. But buyers need to keep in mind that covers the insurance for the structure. So the wind insurance, the flood insurance,
that's
the
true.
hazard insurance for the building itself is covered in a condo fee.
Yeah.
Right.
Versus buying a single family home, you have to cover those.
That's and actually we recently had one of our repeat customers we did their wedding, we do their family pictures every year. They asked us recently about they're thinking about buying a place down here, and I said exactly that. I said I maybe wouldn't look at the condos, and then we had the good fortune of one of our very good supporters of the channel offered us to stay a week in his condo.
Shout out to Chris.
Shout out Chris, thank you Chris. Sanibel Arms, and just as purely as I just said to him, do you mind sharing what it costs as far as the fees and all the rest of it? And I was blown away by how reasonable it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was actually when you broke it down for what they rent out, and so I totally retract what I said about that.
Yeah.
Because there are some, and I'm not naming names or any, but there are some that expect certain expenses that you have to pay within rental fees and all the rest of it that can add up. But I think it's on a case-by-case basis, don't you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's driven mostly by the insurance. That's the biggest component of the
that's
condo fee. So our flood insurance has gone up, our wind insurance has gone up.
Yeah.
But still, you get everything taken care of. Everything's paid for. You pretty much only pay for electric and sometimes internet with a condo. And then you can come and go, just lock the door.
Right.
No
you're out of
grass mowing,
Nothing.
none of that
Nothing.
stuff on the weekends. You're out there.
And there's somebody close by to keep an eye on the place, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that is true.
There's water pouring out the
I
front
have a
door.
question. Are there any empty lots left on Sanibel? Buildable lots.
I unfortunately know the exact number. So
Okay.
I'm also on the planning commission for
Okay.
Sanibel. And this is
Right.
a big deal. How many buildable lots are left? There are 351 lots remaining that have
even
not
know
been
there
that's
was
a
built.
that
lot.
I
many.
didn't know there was that many.
About 100 of them have already been purchased, and somebody we feel is
sitting
definitely
there.
going to build on them.
Okay.
So of the 251 remaining lots, a lot of them have challenges with wetlands. So Sanibel itself is a special flood hazard area deemed by FEMA.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them have low areas, and their maps showing all of the eco zones on the island, but some
Right.
of them have challenges. And this is a big conversation on Planning Commission now, because each lot owner who wants to build has to meet with the planning department
Right.
to determine what can be built, and there's setbacks in low areas. So it's a big deal. Another reason before purchasing a lot to please contact a realtor and have that realtor set up meetings with the City of Sanibel Planning, Building, Natural Resource Department.
And let me stop you there. That goes statewide. Like contact a professional.
Okay, let's go back. You said you're on the planning commission.
Commission,
right?
yes.
Right. But you, besides that, you are volunteer madman. Tell us all about that.
I totally love getting
Yeah.
into the community. So when I first moved here, our kids started playing t-ball. So of course, if you're breathing and you're a dad, or mom, you're a coach of the t-ball teams.
Right. up.
Then
You
I
can
coached
stand
our
up.
son in Little League.
Right.
And then I coached our daughter in softball. And then I went to visit a friend up in North Carolina, and his son played flag football. So this is an NFL sanctioned league. Each kid pays $20, and you get a jersey, belt, and a football.
Yep.
And so I brought that to Sanibel in 2003. So to this day, they're still running the
Still-
Sanibel
yes.
Flag Football League.
I was a frequent opponent of the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Max
I
was
grew
on,
up because your son was my age, so we were
Right.
opposing teams for 5-6 plus years.
Right.
And everybody thought it was about the kids, but as a coach, it was really about us designing plays and trying to get the kids to implement it. And then after that, going out to a local restaurant and maybe having a cold beverage while the
Yeah.
kids were running around like animals, upsetting
Exactly.
the restaurant owner.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, good times, good times.
I want to know about. Didn't you have to dress up like a woman at one point?
I have
for
no
your
idea what you're talking about, but I came in third place.
Another part of your volunteering efforts, I think.
That was a fundraiser for CHR Community Housing,
Right.
below market rate housing. So when they asked us to do something, I think we raised $125,000
That's
that
amazing.
night.
That's
You must have
amazing.
looked really good.
No, I did not.
Max, can you find a picture of Eric as a woman and put that up on the screen, please?
I won't do that to him.
So we had just gotten back from Oktoberfest, and then the event was 2 nights later.
Oh, you're still.
And what am I going to wear? So my wife said, well, why don't you wear the dirndl and she'll wear the lederhosen.
You were at the real Oktoberfest.
At the real Oktoberfest.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh, that's
gosh.
awesome.
Anything? What? You're in Kiwanis? Are you
Kiwanis, yeah.
as well?
Yeah, I love Kiwanis. We raise a lot of money for the island youth. That's basically the mantra of International Kiwanis.
Right.
So we have a golf tournament every year. This year it's going to be a 2-man scramble. We have the spaghetti dinner, which is
Right.
one of the longest days of my life. Serving about 1,200 people.
Wait, you hold
spaghetti
that at the
meatballs.
community house?
At the community house.
Okay.
That's
And
a
would
great
you-
event.
Right. You haven't had that for a few years. So
Thanks to COVID, we couldn't
Right.
hold it indoors,
It's coming
but
back
it's
now.
going to come back the last Saturday in February.
All right.
Okay,
Nice.
we'll be
Get
there.
tickets.
We'll be there. Yeah, cool. And then what else have you? You've had hundreds of hours or thousands of hours.
And even, I mean, your real estate company has donated to local
Well, we're
organizations.
fortunate to be able to give back to the community. This
Yeah.
community has supported us, and we like to support the community. So
Yeah.
it's actually a pretty easy decision. One of my favorite jobs is for some of the nonprofits, I'm the auctioneer at the big gala. So I get to dress up in a crazy outfit and raise money.
That's
Very cool.
awesome. That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Max, have you got anything for us?
Oh yeah, I have some real estate based trivia questions.
right.
So I catered them to you, Eric. So hopefully we'll see what you
Did
got.
you pay him, Eric, to do
I
that?
better get these right.
Yeah, right. All right, we've got 3 questions.
So you're just going to write your answer down. Keep
Just
it.
They're
one at
all-
a time or all
Yes,
3?
one at a time.
at a time.
And then
Okay.
we'll
One at a
reveal
time.
our answer.
Yep. They are all closest gets the point. So
Okay.
closest to the
Even
answer
if
gets
you
the
go
point.
over. Got it.
So our first question: famous Captiva resident Robert Rauschenberg moved into or purchased his home on Captiva in what year?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Oh.
This is
Purchased his home on Captiva.
In what year?
and he moved in as a full-time resident 2 years later. If that helps.
No, it does
Did
not
you,
help.
did you need the month, Max, or no?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No.
Because I only know the day and the year.
Right. I know that, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So what
I
you
know
got,
the day
Laurie?
of week.
Because Laurie always volunteers my answer first when she thinks it's really wrong.
1963.
63, Dad.
I put 91.
Eric.
75.
Dun, dun,
Mom
dun.
is closest.
All right.
It is 68.
Yes.
68.
Wow.
And then you would have been closest had you said when he moved in, because he moved in 1970 full time.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, Max.
Half point there. You get a half point
68.
there.
I think you need to read the questions a little slower.
Right.
All right, now we're getting into the numbers. Lee County's most expensive home was sold on Captiva Island. What did it sell for?
When?
It was 2021, I believe.
Wow, I was quick with that answer. Eric, what you got?
$13,500,000.
Did you
Very
sell it?
specific.
I did not.
Do you wish you sold it?
Absolutely.
23 million. I put.
I put 18.
Mom wins again.
No.
It was $17.15 million. It was sold for.
Actually, Max, apparently in these games, if you go over, it doesn't count.
Price is Right rules. Price is Right rules.
What kind of house is that?
Really, really big one.
It's got to be on Captiva.
It
Yeah,
is
he said
one
that.
six.
Okay.
1,200 square foot,
Right.
Yeah.
2-bedroom, 1 bath.
Right.
Is
It was 16660
I know
Captiva
exactly
Drive.
where it is. It's before
Wow.
you get to the left turn bend as you go down. It's about 5 houses before that. Because I know one of my customers owned it at one time.
Really?
Yeah. It looks like a James Bond building. It's got a great big archway around the back. And
Oh, I know that house. Yes.
yeah, it's like a 3-story.
I think it sold last for 13.5, so I was just one sale.
Okay,
ahead.
right. You were one
It's got
sale
a
out.
great big. It's the only house I've ever walked in, and I just literally went, "Wow!" And it's just literally got a panoramic window the entire width of the building.
The golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Wow, I'm 0 for 2 here.
All right. Redemption
Is this
time.
one worth double points?
Nick,
Max?
we need to work together here to
Yeah,
buy this house.
seriously, yeah, we're
The
big
brain
old
power.
signals behind the back.
All right. Our final question. In 2019, Sanibel's highest priced listing went up for $16.9 million. From what I can tell, I don't think it was ever actually sold.
Okay.
But how many square feet
Was this house?
was this listing?
And
I
when
think-
was this?
This was in 2019.
I know how many bedrooms it
I
had.
believe it has since been listed
you ask how many
for
bedrooms
more
it
even.
has?
Oh. So how many square feet
Yep.
was this house?
And we are talking air-conditioned square feet, not total, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Under
yeah, yeah.
air.
'Cause I don't wanna
Is
get
that
this
the-
wrong
right,
again.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Huh. Okay. Could that be? Oh. All right.
All right.
I think you're
Oh,
first this time.
You might
Nick.
be right. I got 25,000 square feet.
That's
Wow.
huge.
That's
Yeah,
a
it is
that's a
huge.
warehouse.
Yeah.
That's an Amazon warehouse.
Yeah. I put 12,007 square feet.
I put 12,006.
No, you-
11,000.
Eric, you redeemed yourself.
Yes.
It was 10,236 square feet. And I believe it's since listed for like $18 million.
I think it was a little higher, yeah.
Yeah.
But not sold.
No, I don't think it's been sold.
Yeah. So
I don't
anybody
know.
out there that is looking for
10,000 square feet on Sanibel Island.
$18 million.
And by the way, that is not the average price of homes on the
No.
island.
It is not.
It
Yeah.
is not. We go across the board, don't
Right.
we? So yeah, don't let that put you off. Come on down. Which we have a lot of people. A lot of younger people are moving here. Is this true? Does it
Yeah.
seem like we're just getting older?
No, we are getting older.
Okay.
That's a fact. But the average age, I would guess, was in the high 60s.
Yeah.
And now that's probably low 60s because so many families have been moving here.
Yeah.
COVID opened up the opportunity to work from home.
Yeah.
Many people are working from their beachfront condo or golf course home
Could
in Florida. So
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
and our
younger
school
people,
system out here on the island goes from kindergarten through 8th grade. What do you think of the school?
It's a top-notch school, blue ribbon school, and
Yeah.
from what I know, everybody places into the highest program at Fort Myers High, and then there are other choices.
Right.
But it's an excellent school.
Yeah.
Probably because the parents are involved and the moms are keeping an eye on the kids. But
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
great
so-
teachers, and everyone's very happy with the school.
Yeah.
Well,
so
excellent. I'm glad. Thanks for joining us today.
I think there's still so much to talk about
There
that we
is.
haven't.
To
We
do
should-
a second episode.
we should do
Yeah.
a second episode, but seriously, I'm
You'll
sure
come back and
I'm,
you can
I'm
win
going to
next
offer your
time,
services.
maybe.
I'm going to offer your services, but I don't know. I mean, if you have got a question about moving to Florida, I'm sure if it wasn't particularly this area, I'm sure Eric would oblige anyway. If you have a question, please reach out to him at Pfeifer Realty.
It tells your website.
Email.
Website, sunnysanibel.com.
Oh.
That gets you to the website that covers all of Southwest Florida. It's just the easiest to remember,
That is better.
sunnysanibel.com.
Yes, because Pfeiffer is a little bit of a mouthful.
Right.
Not
a mouthful.
but yeah, hard to spell.
Nobody
So-
ever spells it correctly.
No, tell us the spelling, just in case anybody wants to know.
Pfeifer.
Got it.
So
Pfeiffer.
PfeifferRealtyGroup.com will also get you
Right,
there.
but easier,
yeah,
Sunny
sweet.
Sanibel.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us. It's been very
Thank you for
enlightening.
having me.
And let's do this again sometime. So thanks very much for joining us, Eric.
Max, Nick, Lori, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Okay, and a quick shout out to our supporters. Without our supporters, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So show some love to Bailey's General Store, Doc Ford's Rum Bar and Grill, the Pfeifer Realty Group, Spoondrift Island Bowls, Sanibel Carts, GatorBites Tail and Ale, 3 Crafty Ladies, Suncatchers Dream, Kingfisher Vacation Rentals, Priscilla's of Sanibel, and Coco y Cabana. Thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next one.